Italy, first timers in the World Cup. That in itself is obviously something very special, Mel. Another lovely story within the T20 World Cup, Mel. Talk to us about Italy and where they're at, how they've got you.
Well, I think when most people think Italy, they think of, the seas, culinary, cuisine, 𝙖𝙢𝙖𝙯𝙞𝙣, and of course cricket. That's naturally just in the mix of Italy.
I would think football, actually.
No.
I was thinking red wine.
I think there'll be raised eyebrows, from fans of cricket, but most fans of cricket are sort of, the top 10 nations kind of thing. I think it's an amazing story when you look at the makeup of their team. They have players that have been in Italy, living, breathing Italian life for many, many a year. They're fluent in Italian. They've got a club system there that would surprise a lot of people as well. I think that's when we first went to the USA, and you look at the amount of clubs in New York. You're like, oh, never would have thought. And that's the beauty of the game of cricket. It has infiltrated so far and wide and into football-loving nations as well. So for them to be able to work through a system where now the club system itself, it's tough, isn't it, when you play in a country that cricket is not on the radar whatsoever. So for them to be able to not just build a club system and a structure first and foremost, but then to build a national team that can go through qualifiers where probably most people might have taken them for granted in some ways if they haven't sort of come up against them before. And they have that influx of a little bit of international experience, which probably just allowed them to believe and elevate their thought processes around the game. Then all of a sudden, you've got a team, high on life, high on cricket, and coming into their very first World Cup. Now, are they going to win a game? Probably not. But there will be another point. We talk about Zimbabwe. We talk about that fandom and that follow-on then back home about how they can utilise this World Cup just to keep on building the foundations.
In the coaching staff, rather experienced players and players that have made their mark as well in T20 cricket. John Davison from former Canada International, Kevin O'Brien is there, Dougie Brown is also part of that coaching staff. How much can they influence what happens on the field for Italy?
I think they can build a system as Stuart Law and I mentioned Monty Desai did with Nepal in creating an identity that if you can't necessarily compete against, let's say, the top 5-6 nations with your batting power, you can supplement that by being in the best fielding team in the tournament and save runs, create opportunities, run-outs there. Similarly, with Italy, they'll have to do that sort of thing, and I'm very enlightened by all that insight that Mel gave us. She obviously in her spare time travels the world to these exotic places.
I know the Aussie physio.
Earning far too much money. Well, I'm going to stick to the theme of fast bowling though, and Thomas Dracker, who is a 25-year-old fast bowler. He put himself in the IPL auction, I think last season or the season before. It didn't quite work out. He didn't get to the shortlist. And I had the real benefit of seeing him live at a couple of fast bowling camps run by a colleague of ours in South England, and seeing his pace, working on his mechanics, go from early 80s to mid 80s to sometimes late 80s. And so the wickets haven't flowed yet, but I'm watching his development closely, and he will have that world stage if he can stay fit in that World Cup.
I think the key is actually buying into the country and the team. It's not the names you mentioned there will absolutely, both the players and the coaching staff that you mentioned there, they're not just rocking up to like, this is our chance of being involved in a World Cup that we may not get somewhere else. We're here for Italy, not only trying to make progress with this group of players, but try to grow the sport in Italy. I think that's got to be the mindset. There will occasionally be, there'll be a game where it's so one-sided, everyone will start questioning it. You have to have a reaction to that everyone will start, you'll see social media, why are Italy in the World Cup, whatever. You have to make sure you have a reaction to that you turn up the next day and you back your players and you go again and you see the bigger picture of what you're trying to achieve with having cricket and in Italy and a team in the World Cup. And if they do well, there's some seriously good trips for us as commentators. I mean,
we won't see Mass for the whole time, but we'll all
I'm
be there.
going, seriously. That's a good trip, that.